Hey, welcome to the Lesley and Lisa show. Today's hot topic is going to be, what have you been binging during COVID?
Plus, we have a fabulous guest, so stick around.
Welcome to the Lesley and Lisa show.
Hey, welcome to the Lesley and Lisa show. As always, we're going to talk about anything and everything because nothing is off limits. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Les.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm just going to be honest. We can't stop laughing today.
We tried so many times to get this show and we couldn't stop laughing.
No, and that's a good thing.
Good thing. One of these days we'll do like an outtake. Well, we'll do an outtake show where you and I'll find it hilarious, but everybody else will probably be like,
okay. Oh. It's all about us, Les.
Right? So I'm always going to start blabbing about something. Today I woke up. Have you ever had those days where you wake up and you cannot shake off the weird, strange, scary, whatever dream you have had?
Yes.
Oh my God. I woke up this morning and I literally, everything I went to do, I was still in my dream. And I knew I was awake and clearly I was fully, lucid and brushing my, but I couldn't let go of it. And it was like, I couldn't do anything. I was spilling things. I spilled my coffee all over the kitchen. It was.
Do you remember what the dream was?
Oh my God. Now I can't remember what it was.
That's even weirder. It's so funny because
it's now the afternoon and I've completely forgotten.
I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of articles and people tweeting and stuff about the fact that during this time since COVID began, people are having crazy dreams. And like we all always have crazy dreams, but I think the fact that we were all thrust into such a different life so quickly has really messed with our psyches.
I agree. Well, and the underlying fear and anxiety and all of that. But
I just think it's funny that
I'm racking my brain to be like, wait, what was that dream?
But I think that's so funny that it messed with you so much and you can't even really grasp what it was.
I can't. Usually, like I have the typical dreams where I'm in the grocery store, but all of a sudden I don't have a top on. And I'm like, why am I half naked in a grocery store? But I think that is a whole because I've had big breasts my whole life. I finally had a breast reduction. So those dreams have become fewer and fewer.
Oh,
however, they still do exist a little bit here and there.
I find it hilarious that your breast reduction surgery has reduced the amount of breast dreams you've had.
Well, it's reduced a lot. Let's just say that.
Yes.
And then the other recurring dream that I swear to God, I bet you every human being has had is you're in your dream and you're in a class, whether it be high school or college, whatever. And all of a sudden it's the final and you haven't fucking studied.
Yes.
And you panic, you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? How come I never came to class? I'm not going to pass.
So I've had that, but I've also far more than that had the dream where I'm back waiting tables and I'm either naked or I show up and I forgot all the codes to type in for everything and I don't know how to refill people's drinks and that just becomes a whole thing. So that's like massive anxiety.
Massive. I've never waited tables, so I would have been a horrible waitress.
I was the best waitress. I was the best.
I would have either been really good or really bad because
that's a ridiculous thing to say.
I know. All right. Well, my point is, I don't have patience for a lot of people in those situations. I don't know because I don't,
And yet you're such a good hostess.
I am. I know. I don't know. I think I would have been really good. Remember the restaurant? It was a singing restaurant, but you could also be really rude.
Yes, Ed DeBevick's.
Ed DeBevick's. Yes,
yeah,
that's exactly what it was.
I've been a great
waitress at Ed DeBevick's, where I could have really just had a persona.
Yes,
and like, what the fuck do you want to eat?
Yes, you would have been great at that. Let's bring it back. We can call it Lesley and Lisa's Ed DeBevick's. All right, let's get to our hot topic because our guest.
Oh yeah,
is waiting.
Ready?
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hot
topic.
Can't wait for us to get to. Anyways, so our hot topic today is what have you been binging during COVID? And I'm talking about movies, television, and podcasts, but if you want to talk chocolate chips or marshmallows, that's fine too.
Well, I will tell you, I was binging a crap ton of alcohol at the beginning of COVID, like more alcohol than I've ever drank in my entire.
I'm sorry, you were, because so I still might be.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people are, but something in me just
are.
went, and you're done.
Oh yeah, I mean, I might have slowed down a little, but I have never gotten rid of so many glass bottles in my recycling ever. I mean,
You're helping the
kind of shocking. But you know what I binged last night?
What?
Oh my God. The Queen's Gambit.
Everybody is obsessed with this show. I haven't seen it yet.
So good.
You don't
She's
have.
I don't know who the actress, I can't remember her name, but she's mesmerizing.
I gotta
Like,
see
I
it.
couldn't stop staring at her eyes.
Now, your son is a big chess player. Do you have to be
He was when he was in kinder and first grade, and then I think he got a little bored.
lost it? Okay, but do you have to know about chess to like the show?
No, I know nothing about chess. I mean, I would watch him in chess tournaments and have no idea what was going on.
Right.
I could barely play checkers, let alone chess.
Right. All right, I'm
I
done
don't have a
with
clue.
that.
There's a queen and a king and a pawn and a rook.
More than I know. I'm dying to see The Crown, which I've never seen any of.
I've never seen any of that either. I have to say, by the way, I have had a little bit of quarantine panic, a little bit of like, oh my God, everybody's watching all these shows and watching all these movies, but I'm not watching anything. What's wrong with me? And then the other thought is, I mean, I know that in quarantine, time moves really slow and yet really fast at the same time. I just was like, where does everybody find the time to binge all of these shows when you have little kids and you're doing all this shit? And
well, they're not doing a talk show. That's where they have all the time.
Exactly.
So we've been binging, and then we'll talk more about this with our guests, but we've been binging Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, yeah?
Which is such a fun show.
Hilarious, I hear.
So funny. And then my husband and I watched very quickly The Vow on HBO Max, which is about a cult, it's fascinating.
Wait, is that the one? Is that Catherine, what's her name's daughter?
Yes. Yep.
Oxenberg's daughter. Yeah.
But there's another one on Stars that focuses just on them. The one we watched focuses on the whole cult. So we'll talk more about that with our guest. Can I intro him?
Yes, because I also want to talk about that stupid show I binged because everybody was doing it. Tiger, whatever.
Oh, not everybody was, Les. Some people did not take the time to watch that and will never.
I succumbed to the pressure. Yeah. Tiger King. Anyway, go ahead.
No desire. Okay. Our guest today is one of the original cast members from Mad TV. He's the man of a million voices and truly one of the nicest human beings I have ever not only worked with, but met. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Phil LaMarr.
To the Zoom stage. Phil LaMarr. I love when we wait for them to get in. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Hello.
Phil, you look surprised to be on the show.
No, they don't give you a warning. There's no count.
Oh, yeah, there's no.
I've just been sitting here for 10 damn minutes waiting for you. I was like, are they on? Maybe they're asleep.
We were, you know what?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we were just blabbing at the top and we never, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we've just been blabbing. God, let this poor man in. He's been sitting in the waiting room.
But I told Phil very specifically that he would have to wait a few minutes. He's just not used to waiting because everybody treats him. By the way, I just introduced you as one of the nicest men I've ever worked with.
And then attacked me. Because that's Lisa's thing. She likes the bad boys. Nice guys, screw them.
Right.
By the way,
or don't.
Or
Can
don't.
I tell you, or don't. You know what? We women are stupid. Well, I don't know why, but we do like the bad guys.
I don't.
Not anymore. Not since 2016. Because now the bad guys are going to prison.
Not enough of them, Phil.
No. Well, we don't know. Who knows? That's a whole other topic.
That
right?
is.
Phil.
Isn't that what we're discussing?
No, it's not at the moment. Phil, is that your booth to the left of you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's
Whoa.
Cool. I almost want him to take us for a tour of his booth.
Could you? No.
don't
No.
know that I could. I would have to take the desktop.
Nope, not happening.
No, that wouldn't work. My voiceover booth, by the way, is a closet with no, it's just a closet. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a storage closet. There's no little cute window.
Well, you know what? Stop bragging, both of you who have voiceover booths, because I don't have one. Listen, you know what? I used to do voiceovers long ago, and then I don't know. I moved to New York.
Stop being hip, and you got out.
No. You don't understand how bad I want to get back in, but it's not easy to get back in, as you know, King. Anyways, but you know what I recently found? Like 10 years ago, I bought an M box. Do you even know what that is? Because I actually don't, but I bought one. Ready to get back into voiceover. It's still in the box. It's sealed, everything. I'm just going to keep it.
I think it's time to sell that on eBay.
One day.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to keep it until what, Lesley?
Armageddon? I don't know. I have no idea. Listen, because I recently emailed my voiceover agents and been like, hey, I know it's bad timing, but I'm really wanting to get back into voiceover. Anybody interested?
And they were like, Lesley who?
No, I just haven't heard back from any of them yet.
All right. Well,
that's because in the beginning of this year, everybody
wanted to be in voiceover.
Like people with Oscars were trying to get McDonald's commercials.
That's true. Well, that's why I kind of stopped, because even back in 2005, even then, it was a lot of it was celebrity driven. So anyways, who cares about that? We want to talk to you.
Yes. Phil, I don't know if I knew when
at all.
I don't know
you answered the email, so you're on here.
What I was going to say is I don't know if I knew when we worked together that you went to Yale.
Oh, that.
Yeah, what? No,
I didn't know which secret you were about to out.
I know, that
seriously.
secret.
And you went to, because we looked you up and read all kinds of stuff about you, and then I listened.
Well, I did that when Lisa got on Mad TV. I Googled the hell out of her.
I had nothing to show before Mad TV, really, did I?
No, it was just forums on the Acme website.
Right. Awesome.
So
oh my gosh, she is so mad at Lisa.
Phil, you grew up in Los Angeles, obviously, because you went to Harvard Westlake High School, which I just applied for my daughter.
Really?
For middle school. So that's
can you put in a good word for her, Phil?
Yeah,
what is she the best in the world at?
Well, that's the problem. Oh my God, it's so crazy. That's the thing. So wait, let me ask you, what were you the best in the world at when you went to Harvard Westlake?
Back then, it was not Harvard Westlake.
You went when it was
Harvard School.
Oh,
it was all boys.
Yep.
And it was not the best and the brightest and blah, blah, blah. It was a very good, pretty hard private school back in the 80s.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, I think, after the merger that it became this whole other thing.
Yeah.
Because a few years ago, my son applied as well. And ultimately, we decided that it wouldn't be the best place for him specifically, because it was too much. I think at that point they were actually working to decrease the amount of stress on the students, but my vibe on it was, that's great that the school is doing that. Who's going to help the parents do that?
I know. Exactly. Right. I don't know if it's the place. It's an amazing school, but I don't know if it's the place for us either. But hey, you went to Harvard Westlake, then you went to Yale. I mean, come on. You went to Yale.
And Harvard really well prepared me well for college.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's a prep school. And what that means is they prepare you for college, which makes it hard.
Right.
Yeah.
When you went to Yale, did you know that you wanted to be an actor already?
No, not really. I mean, all the schools that I applied to had some sort of, acting was sort of there. Like I applied to USC and Northwestern, and Yale and Carnegie Mellon.
Wow.
But Carnegie Mellon was like, that was going to be like the acting program.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I was like,
what did you go to college thinking you were going to study? To be, if you knew that.
Acting. Well, because it was like Carnegie Mellon or Yale. I'm like, well, this conservatory thing where they're actually cutting people. I don't know if I want to like go through this process of applying for college and then have to do it again in a couple of years.
Right.
I'm like, well, maybe I'll just do the, more traditional college thing and do that. And
At Yale.
Right. But I thought I would study acting.
You're fancy, Phil.
But I didn't.
Wait, you didn't study acting?
I took the freshman drama class along with like 100 and something other people, several of whom are like way more richer and famous than I am. And I was realizing it's like, you know what? We're paying all this money to go to an Ivy League school. Why would I pick a major that has one full-time faculty member?
Oh, wow.
Because that's all we had. Because I fell into this trap that everybody in Hollywood falls into, and it benefits me, confusing Yale undergraduate college with Yale Drama School.
Okay.
Got it.
No relationship whatsoever.
Okay.
So I went there going, I'm going to study acting at Yale. It's like, no, that's the graduate program. That's somewhere else. That's 4 years from now. We have one guy who sits here in the office, and then we have 3 other people who come in part-time in between auditions in New York to teach classes.
Oh.
Enjoy.
So what did you end up studying?
I'm like, I'm going to be an English major. They have a building and endowed chairs. And you don't have to write a senior essay.
Oh, that's a big one.
So let me ask you, you went to Yale. What other famous people were in your graduating class?
Suzanne Cryer from Silicon Valley. Josh Molina from West Wing.
Oh, wow.
Who else? Actually, Edward Norton, when I was one of my freshmen, when I was a freshman counselor.
Wow.
So the really famous people were after us.
That's so cute.
And before us. Actually,
So
Jennifer Beals was a senior when I was a freshman.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that Jennifer Beals?
That's why I dressed like this today, because I knew you were going to say that.
God, you're good, Lisa.
I know. It's like...
I just thought that was an internet thing. Skin equals views.
It's true.
Bill, so you came back to LA and got involved. When did you start? When did Mad TV start?
Oh God, Mad TV didn't start till 95. I graduated in 88.
And so you came back to LA full blown, like ready to get into all of this.
No, I went to Boston for a summer chasing a girl, missed.
Aww.
And then realized I was too scared to move to New York. Like all of the other people I had done plays with in college, they were all going to New York.
Sure.
I was like, that sounds scary.
I'm with you. By the way, when I graduated college, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to New York, but I was scared to death.
Because where are you from, Leslie?
Here, born and raised here in LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All 3 of us. How
And by the
crazy
way,
is that?
And your age, Phil. I think we're the same age, maybe a year apart. But I too was way too scared to go to New York. The irony is that I'm a Jewish girl and I didn't have one single relative in New York City. It's really weird.
That's very strange.
Right? So, but I was scared too.
But here's the thing, Phil. If you were to go to New York, it would be for a theater career. And did you want a theater career, or did you want to be on camera or behind a microphone?
Right.
Well, I mean, at that time, it was like, I want to be an actor.
Yeah. Well.
And it wasn't about picking.
Got it.
It was about finding.
Right.
Something you could do,
God, I love that. That's so funny. That's a very interesting thing what you just said, because it really, it is. It's especially someone like you, you're multi-talented. So it's not just like, I'm a dramatic actor and I need to look for that. You really needed to find what your niche was.
Right. And coming from, the East Coast, we were doing theater in college.
Right.
You weren't really, because back then to do, on camera, you needed actual film.
Right.
you know.
Well, you needed an agent. You needed, like, there was an entry point into this business back then.
Right.
Now there's no entry point. Anybody
Or everything's an entry point.
Everything's an
Exactly.
entry point.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is the name of my sex tape. So Phil, but then how soon after you came back here did you do the Groundlings?
Well, this is really the real story.
Okay.
Is sophomore year, I started doing improv in college.
Okay.
With a group of friends. We started an improv group. And that was just us doing something that was fun for us.
Yep.
But it wound up setting me on a path for the rest of my life.
Wow. So you knew you loved doing that.
Right. So, I mean, we had actually, the group of us, junior year, I think, took off, like the entire group went to Chicago for the summer.
What?
To study improv.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
So, like, I was in it. And coming home, I mean, listen, you know, you come home to LA, it's like, well, I'm just home. We're not like the transplants.
Correct.
Who come to LA, it's like,
100%.
I need to do something, one, to pay my rent, to eat, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are motivated in a different way.
Right.
But you also have a leg up that at least I wasn't fully aware of. Like, oh, I'm in LA, the center of the entertainment universe, and I'm comfortable here, and I can live here without starving, dying, or having to become a hooker.
Right. You only do that if you want to.
When you're local.
When you're local, right. Right.
And of course, we are violating some sort of Hollywood zoning regulation by having 3
natives.
Natives.
Seriously.
It's true.
Are we all from the 818?
Actually in high school, I lived in the Valley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I moved to North Valley.
God, we're all 818ers.
I love
That's
that.
crazy.
Although, depending on how old you are, there was no area code when I lived there.
No, I think there was an area code. You just didn't have to plug it in.
You just
could
didn't have to use
dial a phone number.
Right.
You didn't have to use it.
Yeah. So
Right?
you're not that old, Phil.
Right. Because if you're old, Phil, I'm old. Shit.
So
Hey.
So what's interesting though is we are all native Californians, but we were all hungry enough, even with the comfort of our families being here and everything, but look, what we were probably hungry for was not food on the table, but to work, to perform.
Yeah.
So, and all 3 of us come from a sketch comedy background. Lesley and I, we never even talked about this, Les, and we won't now either, but Lesley and I were in a sketch comedy troupe together when we were teenagers.
Oh, really?
Yes. And
Which one?
well, it was called
didn't hear of
Upstage
it, trust
Comedy.
me.
It was like what you did in college. We created, so and much younger, really.
Yeah.
We were right out of high school. I was right out of high school.
So and then I joined Acme Comedy Theater, and you did the more successful one, The Groundlings.
Well, because I was jonesing for the improv and the community that I'd had with my friends. So I'm like, well, let me write this check. And I started taking, it's funny because at the time I was actively pursuing an on-camera career, but I was doing Groundlings for me on the side.
Oh, wow.
That was not a career move,
Sure.
especially not back in 88, 89.
Wow.
Like half the Groundlings in the main company back then didn't have agents.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember Mindy Sterling did not have an agent.
So crazy.
That is crazy. And everybody would recognize Mindy Sterling.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
But is that where Mad TV found you?
No. Weirdly, by the time Mad TV came around, I was not doing the main show at the Groundlings. But the skills, because I started taking classes in like 88, 89, but I did get work out of the Groundlings.
Okay.
And it's weird now in this time of, diversity and representation to talk about this, but the truth is I was the only Black person there.
At the Groundlings?
Yeah. So as the Groundlings were sort of like getting a profile, casting directors would call saying, hey, we're looking for comedy people. And if they ever asked for a Black person, they had to go all the way down the fucking list. there's a guy in intermediate. I mean, they wouldn't say that, but yes, we have someone. There he is.
That
Wow, Phil.
seems crazy.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, in intermediate, I started getting auditions through the Groundlings.
So would you call yourself a trailblazer?
Well,
Well,
you need to be in the voiceover world. No, anyways, go ahead.
weirdly, technically, I am the first Black person ever voted into the Groundlings.
Wait, you have to
Wow.
be
In
voted into the
1992.
Groundlings, like onto the main stage? You have to be
Yeah.
voted in?
Because you have to be voted in by the company. And the group began in 1974, and in 1992, I was the first Black person voted in. Now, weird thing is, there actually had been Black and Latino people as part of the company when it was a workshop, when it didn't cost money, and when people didn't get voted.
Okay.
Like, it was more diverse before they started picking people.
By the way, is this how the Groundlings still? I was never into that. I was always way too intimidated to go that direction. So is that still the way it happens? Like there's a main company and you have to be voted into that?
Yeah, and it's really weird because you're voted on by the company itself. Wow. There's not like a, director or theater manager who chooses,
Right.
like at Second City or at Acme.
Or at Acme.
There are up to 30 members in the company at that's the most there can be. And once someone, it's like the Supreme Court. If somebody leaves, they got to fill the spot.
Wow.
Or if nobody leaves, there aren't any spots. There
Holy
was a period,
shit.
and I remember
didn't know
right
that.
after Jennifer Coolidge and I got in, no one else got in for 2 years.
But so people are staying and paying for classes and working their asses off, knowing that they
They're not
cannot
getting in the main
ever
company.
ascend until somebody dies or retires.
Mm-hmm. Although back then, people didn't stay in there quite as long as they do now.
Okay.
Like back then, it was like you're just waiting for somebody to get a series.
Wow.
Then they'll get off the fucking wall and make some room.
That's really wild. And I mean, I don't want to pass so quickly over the fact that you were the first Black cast member to be voted onto the main stage. I think that's fascinating. Is that a known thing at the Groundlings?
Yes, but at the time, it didn't matter. No one made a big deal about, oh, here's our first Black person. Because nobody was thinking in terms of diversity and representation.
Interesting.
Although it did make a difference, having my face up on the wall, we then had in the following, that was 92, in the next, 92, next 5-6 years, 4 more people of color
Got voted in.
got voted. Black people, actually. I won't say people of color, just Black people.
Okay.
Because there still, to this day, has not been a Latino person voted into the company.
Now, and
Which is weird.
that is really weird.
Like, okay, LA's premier comedy troupe and LA's dominant ethnic group somehow
Right.
keep missing each other.
Seriously, that is so odd.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's because there are more Latino like comedy groups on their own? Because I do feel like that's a thing.
I think it's a couple of things. I think one, it's sort of a blind spot in the company and that's provable because from 2000 to 2015, nobody of any color got voted into the company.
For
It was a
10
15-year period.
years?
Wow,
15.
this is okay. This conversation has definitely gone into a space I never expected, but that is
Right.
really astounding,
It
Phil.
is.
And nobody noticed for the longest time.
Is anybody talking about it now, or just?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people talking about
Oh,
it.
there
now.
is.
Okay.
And starting from like 2013, people began to go, "What the hell? What the hell?" And the Groundlings started a diversity initiative, and like said, "Oh Jesus, we didn't notice." But I mean, in terms of prior to that, and the Latino question, I think part of it is the blind spot of the company
Mhm.
not seeking it out,
Yeah.
and two, the weird thing about comedy. I mean, if you were doing theater, you know, there would be parts, stories, like, oh, we can't do this unless we have somebody. So it would occur to people, oh,
Right.
maybe we need, you know, a Latino woman, something like that. It would come up at some point in 15 years. But
Sure.
when everybody's writing their own material from their own point of view, you know, I mean, even for me, I remember coming up through the program, it never occurred to me that I was actively not writing family scenes until another Black person was in the Sunday company with me. And I was like, oh, I can write that character based on my aunt now.
Oh my God.
You know, because you get so used to working within the boundaries that you don't see them.
Right.
You know, but I also think there was another element to it where a lot of people of color, I mean, because one, it's a little bit crazy, the idea of it, like, hey, you are really funny. Why don't you come pay me $400 to help you work on your funniness?
Right.
I can go to the fucking Comedy Store and make $20.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
Like, you have to have this sort of suburban middle class grad school mentality for that to even make any sense.
Right.
Can I tell you something? If everybody's looking at me on camera, I'm probably looking like this the whole time. I'm really gobsmacked by this.
I am as well. This is information I never knew.
And I literally, this interview is not going in the direction I had intended, because I want to talk about your outstanding career, but wow.
It's fascinating. Truly.
It really is.
And that's the thing, because it wasn't something that was an issue, although it was.
It
Of
was.
course it was.
We just didn't know, we just weren't as aware, and it wasn't in, you know.
It wasn't being talked about, period.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it wasn't one of those things, like you think about, you know, before Tiger Woods and golf, race was sort of an issue because there were golf clubs that didn't allow Black people in them.
Right.
You know, so
exactly.
that would come up. But it's like, yeah, we don't really want to play hockey. We're fine. You know?
You know what's interesting though, Phil, is that like Saturday Night Live was a lot more representative.
A little bit.
Well, I guess a little more representative. Well, I mean, in the 80s, I mean, I guess I'm just surprised. Huh?
It was, what's his name?
It was Eddie Murphy.
Before Eddie Murphy was.
It was Garrett Morris. Yeah.
Garrett Morris.
Oh, I guess you're right. It's so weird. I guess I'm thinking more recent. What the hell? Oh my God. I'm like, it's crazy. Well then, okay. So then Mad TV though, I want to know, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but I want to know how you made the jump from the Groundlings to Mad TV.
Well, starting, you know, as I was saying, from my times coming up through the Groundlings, I was doing characters, doing impressions, writing sketches, but at the same time, I was also starting to work in sitcoms.
Right.
Okay.
So by the time, like, I got voted into the Groundlings in 92, and I remember 1992 was also the first year I qualified for my SAG health insurance.
Oh.
And like, that was right around the time that I realized I'm now making my living as an actor.
Isn't that odd? It's so amazing when that hits. Mine was 1988. Well, I started in 88, and by 89, yes, fully in, had healthcare. I was like, wow, I felt like so important and like such an adult and so responsible.
Mine was 96, but I'm 30 years younger than both of you. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, because, well, it's sort of like, you know, you realize you get a tangible marker for an achievement.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, just statistically, just, you know, like, you know, what is it? 90% of the union is unemployed at any given point in time.
Yep.
So to finally make enough money doing just this work, you know, was amazing.
Amazing.
And so, but, you know, at a certain point I was working enough that I wasn't doing the main show. I think I was still teaching a little bit at the Groundlings, and on the board and stuff. And So by the time Mad TV came along, they did come to look at people at the show, but I wasn't in the show.
Oh, okay.
But I had been working on Fox shows as a recurring or guest star or whatever. So I got in based on that. And it was funny
So did you not have to audition?
Oh, no, I auditioned.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But I didn't want it.
Right.
Why?
Because earlier that year, I had done a pilot that I was convinced was going to go. I loved the part, I loved the showrunner, and little did I know that it would be like the 5th of the 8 failed Carlos Mencia pilots. But I was convinced we were going to be the next Barney Miller. And then my agent called and said, hey, they want you to go in for this sketch comedy show. I'm like, sketch comedy? Jesus, I've been doing that forever. I'm good.
You're like, I'm an actor.
Well, no, it's just like, because I've done the Groundlings for what at that point, 7 years, something like that. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. And I went in with like, I was like fucking Janine Garofalo. I had my stuff written on a notepad.
Because you cared so little?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, this will be funny. I'll do this.
Oh my God.
And it's funny because years later, Adam Small told me, he's like, yeah, I remember when you did the studio reading, I guess there was a woman from the Quincy Jones company who was like this, and I'm doing my thing. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Am I keeping you awake?
Whoa, that's a big pair of balls.
That is the dream, really. That's the dream.
Wow, right?
But I said it in a joking way. But he said, oh, I remember when you said that.
Oh my God. All right.
So you spent 5 years on Mad TV, right?
Yes.
All right. When was it during Mad TV that well, Lisa, you asked the question that Russ was talking
Okay.
about.
Well, I have 2 questions. And one is, so Mad TV, it's no secret, was a miserable experience for me, Phil. Not because of you. You were a delight. You really were. You were so kind always, but nobody cares about that. So it was not a good experience for me at all. I want to know, now that it's over, I really want to know what that experience was like for you emotionally and competition wise and all that stuff. And then the question 2 is, my husband, who was the talent PA at the time, says that whenever he told you you had a voiceover to do, you were like, fuck. He said you hated doing voiceover for Mad TV. And I want to know if that's true or if you even remember that.
I don't remember it. But knowing my mindset at the time, and it's funny because I tell this story about, my voiceover career starting on Mad TV. Yeah, we would do these animation pieces. And I always jokingly say, well, because they had the cast voice the animated pieces because we're already getting paid for the episode.
Exactly. There you go.
So I'm sure that was my response when I'm like, these double dipping motherfuckers.
That was our theory.
That was, when we were talking about it yesterday, we're like, yeah, because he's not getting anything. He's not getting paid for any of that. Now everything he does, he gets paid for it.
Exactly.
Well, but also I knew the mentality of the people I was working for,
Mm-hmm.
and they were not using us because they wanted us to develop those skills or because, we were really good at that or anything. It was, where can we not spend money?
Sure.
Right. Okay. So then that goes back to Lisa's original question, which was, how was your time? We know how her time was. How about you?
Let's put it this way. My contract was a 5-year contract.
There you go.
4.5 years.
Done.
You did 4.5 years?
Mm-hmm. I said, let me out of here.
Wow. Is it wrong that makes me feel like a little vindicated?
Oh, no. It was such a toxic environment.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, I would talk to people, because it went on for 14 years, which a lot of people don't realize because nobody watched it for more than 3 years at a run.
I was pulling up cast pictures and I was finding pictures of like, oh my God.
Taron Killam, Simon Helberg, there's hundreds of people.
Key and Peele, and I was like, they were all on Mad TV?
Right.
Yeah. And throughout that whole period, it stayed as dysfunctional and toxic as it was when we were there, Lisa. I would talk to people who were there 8 years after I left, and they were like, ugh, they did this and this and this. I'm like,
so then my question is,
too?
same showrunners from start to finish?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is the mark of something really toxic.
What a shame. What an absolute shame, because, you know, especially like when I was there and I look back on the people I worked with and how brilliant everyone was and the possibilities that existed and how much was squashed because of the toxicity. And wow. Oh my God. I'm actually really surprised.
Yeah, no, I feel terrible because you came at a low point on the show, and it showed because you had your talent, and they were like, nah. I mean, they were not, that whole introducing the idea of featured players,
right,
was the year you started was the first year of that,
correct.
And the years prior to you, we had a producer director who directed everything and was an advocate for the actors. But which put him at odds with the writer producers, and eventually they pushed him out the year you came.
Wow.
And one of the weird things, I don't know if you know this, Lisa, but in years before, and sorry, Leslie, this is going to be really boring to most people.
I'm gonna go get on my phone while the two of you are talking about Mad TV.
I actually think people will truly find this stuff fascinating because it's an inside look.
And I don't know how long we've been recording, but I have so many other things I want to ask you.
I know. Okay, I'll go fast. When we would read a script, we do a table read. They put together 15 sketches with the idea that 10 of them would be shot.
Correct.
And the cast would read through them in front of the writers, the studio executives, and the network executives. And then after the read through, this is seasons 1 and 2, the producers would leave and get the network executives' notes. Then they'd come back and get the cast notes. The director producer would sort of lead it, like, okay. And so people got to have each other's backs, because like some people were better at articulating the problems or standing up for themselves. So if they had like some sketch where Deborah was playing, I'm rape victim, whatever, we would go, yeah, we really don't like this.
Right.
And so the cast had the ability to veto shit.
Wow.
And after that producer left in season 3, they changed that. And then the notes would not be a group thing. It would be like, no, we're going to meet in Fax's office and just the actors who are in the scenes will give notes. So if they had something like anal leakage sketch,
which was a sketch,
they would cast featured players and not me or Dave Herman, because they know we would go, what the hell? This is ridiculous and hacky.
Wow.
Drama behind Mad TV.
Friggin' bastards.
All right, so listen.
Testament to Phil LaMarr, though, that he was such a fucking pro and so brilliant and had so many amazing characters that I never knew he was miserable. Okay, go ahead, Lesley.
No, but you have had a pretty outstanding voiceover career. I watched a bunch of stuff last night. Oh my God, I was freaking laughing.
Homework.
It's really, I did my homework. It's really amazing. Do you love this? Do you love doing voiceover?
Yeah, I mean, I love acting.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I mean, because coming from where I came from, people say, how did you decide to be a voice actor? I'm like, I didn't.
You kind of fell into it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's this way for you guys, but like you start out, you're looking for whatever opportunity you can.
Yeah.
I mean, and when somebody, like years before, when someone would come up to me and say, I want to be a voice actor. I'm like, just a voice actor? Correct. That's sort of like saying, I want to act on the left side of the stage. Why would you limit yourself?
Well, if you have a good side, that makes sense.
I don't ever want to have to put makeup on my right side of my face.
I love it.
But do you still think of it that way now? Because I think voiceover acting is its own thing.
Well, it is its own thing. It was back then too.
Well, it was definitely more its own thing back then, and it's becoming less, segregated now. But the funny thing is, I never really thought of myself as a voice actor until I had to make a career decision. I was dropped by my agent, and I knew that was a problem. We were doing a show at the Groundlings, and after the show, I come out and I run into my agent. Like, oh, I didn't know you guys were coming. They're like, oh, we didn't know you were in this.
Oh.
We're here to see Melissa McCarthy. Excuse us.
Oh, gross.
Wait, you were dropped then by your theatrical agent?
I was dropped soon after that.
Oh, wow.
And then my manager was like, okay, do we want to get a new theatrical agent? Because by that point, this was 2000 something, my voiceover career had established itself, and it established itself pretty quickly. Like, I think within a year or two after leaving Mad TV, I was making more in cartoons than I had made on Mad.
Oh, wow.
Of course, that was, Fox Late Night. So that was TV, that was ghetto money.
Right.
But it was still a job. And I had this decision to make, like, do I not get another theatrical agent? Do I just stick with my really good voiceover agent?
Right.
But why couldn't you have both? Well,
but that was the thing. I had to decide, like, you're doing this well in voiceover.
Right. You just wanted to maybe focus a little more.
And I realized, like, if I don't get another theatrical agent, I am saying I am a voice actor.
Right.
And I didn't.
I get it. And I get your point because, by the way, we all are actors, period. That is the umbrella. It's just where we're focusing our energy at any one particular moment. What's your most favorite character that you voice? What's been the most fun?
Oof. See, that's funny because people have asked me that for years. And
I thought I was the first person ever asking you.
No. Fortunately, I started my voiceover career in a really amazing way. I got to work with fantastic people. I left Mad TV in the fall of '99, and I think actually I was already cast on Futurama.
Oh my God.
So I'm working with Matt Groening, the man behind The Simpsons.
Unreal.
And then I think in 2000 we started Justice League, where I'm working with Bruce Timm, who did, Batman the Animated Series, and Samurai Jack with Gendy Tartakovsky. All of these things, these were like my first jobs.
That's seriously.
Hey, I got a part in this movie by some guy named Martin Scorsese. I don't know.
Well, I have a question about that, and then we have to go because what sucks is, Phil, you were too interesting, so we got to none of our actual questions.
Yeah, that sucks.
It really sucks. Next time, be worse. But let me ask you this. So many of your jobs are Comic-Con fodder. So I'm assuming you do go to Comic-Cons.
Pre-pandemic, yes, yeah.
Pre-pandemic, sure. And what is that like? What is that experience? Because so few people ever experience that from your side of it.
It's really fascinating. You have to adjust yourself because it's not like, I don't tell these Mad TV anecdotes to people who come up and say, oh, I loved you on Mad TV.
Right.
Because that's not what a fan is. A fan doesn't actually want you to tell them, yeah, that thing that you loved when you were a kid.
Yeah, that sucked.
Really shitty.
Yeah, they just want to hear how fantastic it is. And let's just admit the people who go to Comic-Con are a little fucking odd. Okay, some of them are.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
It's the fans that used to be just online. Now they can, they can find each other and they have a place. And I liken it to getting your applause for a TV show, one person at a time.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So what you just told us is you're a narcissist.
No, what I just told you is I'm an actor.
Which, by the way, means you're a narcissist. Anyway,
that is not true, and Phil is so not that.
So not that. I know we have no time, but Phil, our hot topic today was what have you been binging during COVID? We have very little time, but I was talking about how I just binged last night. I binged Queen's Gambit. What have you been binging? I mean, by the way, you could also tell me that you've been binging like pints of ice cream. That's fine too.
Well, I have 2 kids doing virtual school at home, teenagers, so I rarely get the TV.
Right.
But the one thing I binged all the way through was Ted Lasso on Apple TV, the Jason Sudeikis show by the guy who did Scrubs.
I heard it's amazing.
It's love. It's love in a single cam set.
Is that something I could watch with my 13-year-old?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Well, it's funny because I got my daughter to watch it only because it's got soccer in it, and she's a soccer player.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right.
But even she responded to it.
He goes off to be a soccer player in England, right?
Yeah, he's a college football coach who then goes to England to coach a football team.
Right.
Oh, I love it.
Right, because the ex-wife's trying. Yeah, something like. I heard it's excellent.
Yeah. And
Can I ask one more question, Les, that isn't Hot Topic related?
Yes.
And then we'll all just leave. Okay, Phil, I'm dying to ask you this. So there are 2 movies you're in that you have bit parts in that makes no sense to me because you're Phil LaMarr. And then all of a sudden, so in Step Brothers, you've got this little part where you're just there for a minute house hunting.
Right.
And then in Spider-Man 2,
yes,
yes, you're just on the subway behind Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on the cutting room floor?
That's what I want to know. Are you on the cutting room? No.
No. Well, Step Brothers, I knew Will from the Groundlings, and I didn't have to audition. It was just like an offer. Hey, we got this small part. You want to come do it? It's like a buddy thing.
Amazing.
Like,
makes
absolutely.
perfect sense. Yes.
To be in a Will Ferrell movie, sure.
Right.
And I love that movie.
Oh, it's the funniest movie.
Yeah, so good. I mean, I still love Catherine Hahn because of that. Her scene in the bathroom,
phenomenal,
comic
and disturbing.
By the way, I'm gonna go binge a Catherine Hahn TV show when we're done with this.
Do it.
I'm gonna go watch.
And Spider-Man, I actually auditioned for the Hal Sparks part, the guy in the elevator.
Okay.
Comedic thing, whatever. Didn't get it. But 3 months later, they called and said, "Hey, are you available? We have a part for you," and wouldn't tell me what it was.
Oh.
Can we see the script? No. Secret. Can you tell us what it is? No. Secret. And finally, I tell my agent, like, ask them, will I be working directly with Sam Raimi? So it's not just some second unit crap.
Right.
And they said, it's very small. I'm like, fine. Because I'm a comic book freak from way back. So to be in a Spider-Man movie was a dream.
I love it.
But it was this really weird thing because Sam Raimi had this big action sequence that he considered the heart of the movie because in that fight, Spider-Man gets his mask ripped off.
Yes.
And then the people of New York gather around him and support him and put his mask back on and help him go back into the fight.
Right.
So he said, I got 50 extras, but he hired 8 actors to sprinkle throughout the crowd. Like, I want people that I can cut to for emotional reactions throughout these beats. Okay. So there were a group of us that he just, hey guys, come here. You're my ringers.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, we don't know. You may get lines, you may not. We don't know. But everybody here, you're here for a reason, and thank you for being here.
Amazing.
All right. Well, there you go.
I love it.
Phil LaMarr.
You are even more interesting than I thought you were. We didn't even get to talk about his family.
There's
or my
so
crush
much
on Lisa
we wanted to talk about.
Oh, let's talk about your crush on me. All right.
Is that what he said? I didn't hear him.
Yes, I heard it. Of course I heard it. Phil, I still have a crush on you.
Oh.
And Russ is okay with it. All right, listen, this has been sincerely amazing and mind-blowing. Oh, Lesley, do you have anything else before we make him?
I had so many things I wanted to ask, but we're so out of time. So no, I guess.
Don't be sorry.
Lesley, we'll just have to text about it.
I know, because I wanted to talk to you about cult tofu, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, Phil, thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun. If I need a recommendation letter for Harvard Westlake, can I text you?
Okay.
And if I need a recommendation for the public school that my child will be going to, can I text you for that?
Oh shit.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
That's a
Lisa.
whole other conversation. All right, Phil, you have to let yourself out. It's a very awkward
It's a
situation.
very awkward situation, but you have to leave now. Thank you.
you for being
Thank you
here.
guys. It's so good
Bye,
to see you.
Phil.
Nice to meet
So
you,
good to
Lesley.
see
Have
you,
fun.
honey.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow, how long was that show? That was mind-boggling.
I
Who
think it's
knew?
like, it's long, but I mean, that was information I never knew. I never knew we were going to hear. I am
Nope.
so grateful.
Wow, that's pretty astounding.
All right, listen, you people, we love having you here. We want you to be part of our community. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications. We want to keep seeing you back here. And we hope you found this as fascinating as we did. Les?
I have nothing to say except I hope you guys subscribe, and this was fun, and what a great guest. I guess it's time for me to leave.
Yes, it is time for you to get
That
out.
is the most awkward way to exit, but you just gotta leave the room.
It's my favorite.
Okay.
I'll see you soon. I love you.
See you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.